velkommen til ESG Erfaringsforum nummer 3 i regi av Norsk Venturekapitalforening og Advokatfirmaet Selmer. Vi her i dag for å bli bedre kjent med flere leverandører av verktøy. Og det har vi snakket om en del ganger før, og vi har hørt fra noen. I dag har vi samlet en god gjeng som forskjellige på hver sine måter og dekker litt ulike behov. Og vi skal få høre mer fra dem, både på scenen og for de som enda mer nysgjerrige. Skal få kunne snakke mer med dem etterpå også. Aller først så skal Marianne og Karoline gi oss en oppdatering på de siste kriteriene knyttet til taksonomien. Første 2 kom i 2021, og så kom det et nytt sett på 4 kriterier nå i mars. De skal vi få høre litt om, så Marianne og Karoline skal sette tonen. Deretter kommer det 6 selskaper opp hit og holder en kort presentasjon, og da får vi først høre fra Upright. Og så Ignite Procurement, CemaSys, Variable, Apiday og Novata. Og da har vi bare tiden av veien, så da går ikke jeg opp her og introduserer dere noe mer. Da kommer dere liksom på løpende bånd opp på scenen, så skal vi passe på at alle holder tiden. Og når alle de 6 selskapene har presentert seg, så det muligheten til å stille spørsmål for dere i publikum. Og så vil vi jo gjerne at NVCAs medlemmer og de som ønsker å bruke disse verktøyene skal få diskutere litt erfaringer seg imellom også, som er liksom hensikten med disse forumene. Så da ber vi verktøyleverandørene gå ut og trekke litt luft og kose seg noen minutter i sola, så kan vi dele litt erfaringer her. Og så blir det muligheten for å spise og bli enda bedre kjent med alle sammen etterpå. Så det opplegget for dagen. Som vanlig så blir arrangementet tatt opp. Så det dere sier høyt blir broadcastet på nett på NVCA sin YouTube-kanal. Der kan dere også gjerne dele opptak i etterkant, hvis dere vil det. Ja, jeg glemte å introdusere meg selv. Jeg heter Ellen Wold og leder Norsk Venturekapitalforening. For de som ikke vet det. Men jeg skal ikke si så mye mer, så jeg gir ordet videre til dere. Vær så god, Marianne og Karoline.
Ja, som Ellen nevnte, så skal vi egentlig bare si litt kort om de såkalte taxo 4, de siste 4 kriteriene som kom fra taksonomien. Jeg vet ikke, Karoline, vil du starte med å introdusere deg selv?
Ja, vi har vel litt der, ja. Ja, jeg heter Karoline Schermann, jobber som advokatfullmektig her i Selmer. Jobber primært med eiendom, næringseiendom, men også en del av ESG og compliance-teamet. Så jeg har jobbet mye opp mot åpningsloven og taksonomien, da, men primært for eiendomsselskaper.
Ja, og jeg heter da Marianne Sagrup, jeg partner på Corporate her i Selmer. Jobber både med M&A-transaksjoner, venturekapital, det mye growth-investeringer generelt, og også fondsinvesteringer. Så vi ser jo denne taksonomi-muligheten og utfordringen egentlig fra flere synsvinkler helt nede i porteføljeselskapene som vi representerer når vi jobber for de, men også når vi jobber med fondsforvaltere og også de aktørene som sitter lenger opp i verdikjeden og har fond-i-fond-investeringer. Ja, Karoline, hva taxo 4?
Ja, vi kan jo starte helt på det overordnede da. Taksonomien som de fleste kanskje kjenner til, et klassifiseringssystem som fastsetter kriterier for når en økonomisk aktivitet anses som bærekraftig. Og taksonomien fastsetter også 6 miljømål, det de miljømålene dere ser på skjermen her. Og til hvert enkelt miljømål knytter det seg et kriteriesett. Og hvert kriteriesett består av en liste med aktiviteter og tilhørende beskrivelse som har potensialet til å da anses som bærekraftig i henhold til taksonomien. Og så det også da knyttet veldig spesifikke kriterier til hver enkelt aktivitet. For de 2 første miljømålene så har vi hatt kriteriesett siden 2021, som Ellen nevnte. Og disse kriteriesettene retter seg i all hovedsak mot produsentene. Det de som sitter på toppen av den grønne næringskjeden, og som da produserer energi eller oppfører infrastruktur, og som har mulighet til å begrense klimaendringene og til å tilpasse virksomheten sin til klimaendringer. Da. Men det som har skjedd nå at EU-kommisjonen har kommet med et utkast til kriteriesett for de 4 siste miljømålene. Dette kom i april og var ute på høring cirka en måned, og så kom det en del høringsinnspill, og det de, vi har oppsummert det kort på skjermen, hva de tilbakemeldingene bestod i. Og det som er med det som er med disse kriteriesettene at de retter seg i mye større grad mot leverandørene og gjør også at mange flere aktører omfattes av taksonomien og da vil kunne drive med virksomhet som omfattes av en av aktivitetene. Da. Sånn at det vil da, når disse kriteriesettene vedtas, så vil det da være mange flere aktiviteter som omfattes og som har mulighet til å bli ansett som bærekraftige, og også vil være en relevant aktivitet i henhold til artikkel 9 i offentliggjøringsforordningen.
Det som er litt interessant med de tilbakemeldingene eller høringssvarene som kom til de utkastene som ble publisert i mars, det jo at mange etterlyser mer pedagogisk oppbygging av disse vilkårene, sånn at man i det hele tatt klarer å tilegne seg den informasjonen som der, og hva vilkårene hvilke kriterier man må oppfylle for å kunne være bærekraftig under det enkelte mål. Og så det også et annet punkt som jeg tror mange av dere kan være enige i, og det at man ønsker å senke kravene til den dataen som samles inn så langt det kan gjøres uten å gå på akkord med bærekraftsmålet. Så det jo kanskje en liten trend man ser, og et håp om at de endelige utkastene kanskje blir litt mer tilgjengeliggjort for den menige mann da, eller mann eller kvinne.
Ja, så det forventet egentlig at disse kriteriesettene blir vedtatt nå i løpet av sommeren, og at ikrafttredelse da vil bli fra 1. januar 2024. Og det som essensen i dette utkastet, da, som vi ser, at det et veldig stort fokus på beskyttelse av hav- og vannressurser og viktigheten av tilgang til rent vann. Og det jo særlig interessant i et norsk perspektiv, ettersom vi har veldig god tilgang på gode vann- og havressurser, og det veldig mange norske virksomheter som har utviklet teknologi som kan omfattes av dette bærekraftsmål nummer 3. Da. Også dette målet om sirkulær økonomi. Aktivitetene som vil omfattes av dette miljømålet jo også, eller dette miljømålet dekker jo et mye bredere spekter enn de 2 første. Da. Ja,
og det tar meg over til egentlig det siste vi har lyst til å si noe om i dag, og det egentlig hvordan forretningsmulighetene disse 4 kriteriesettene gir. Det jo ikke sånn at man opererer med et formelt skille mellom at de 2 første settene gjaldt produsenter og de 4 siste gjelder leverandører, men bærekraftsmålene sin natur og det som går på blant annet sirkulær økonomi og beskyttelse av vannressurser jo så brede mål i seg selv at mange flere bedrifter vil ha mulighet til å være omfattet av kriteriene. Så det gir mulighet for mange flere også i et norsk perspektiv. Essensen som går igjen i disse kriteriesettene som vi har nevnt, sirkulær økonomi og helt overordnet, men det mindre sløsing og svinn, bruk av materialer som gjør at man kan få et produkt til å leve lenger, og så det dette med reparasjon og gjenbruk som går igjen. Så det sier jo egentlig noe om at hele leverandørkjeden i norske bedrifter kan ha muligheten til å lage produkter som vil anses som grønn under de nye settene med kriterier. Og det som ordentlig kult at software og AI nå inne i varmen. Som Karoline nevnte, så var det de typiske produsentene, de som lager energi, som oppfører infrastruktur som var omfattet av de 2 første kriteriene. Men under disse 4 siste kriteriesettene som har kommet, så det også rom for de som lager software og AI, som kan bruke sin teknologi til å hjelpe med å oppnå disse målene. Og det man kan gjøre da som fondsforvalter, det jo allerede nå begynne å starte å jobbe med porteføljeselskapene og se, det noen av porteføljeselskapene som kan være omfattet, og det noen som kan tilpasse sine produkter eller utvikle software som kan hjelpe kundene til å oppnå et av disse målene da. Og også det også mulighet for å samarbeide tettere med kunden, ikke sant? Prøve å finne ut hvordan behov den enkelte kunde har. Jeg skal ikke gå gjennom alle de eksemplene som står her, men kan jeg nevne 2 av de. Det jo veldig mange industribedrifter i Norge som driver offshore, enten med offshore-virksomhet knyttet til olje og shipping og så videre, men også oppdrett og andre som bruker mye vann i sin produksjon. Så det å liksom kunne kontrollere hvor mye vann brukes, hvor mye forurenses, den type teknologi, og også sensorer som snakker mellom ren software og hardware, vil kunne bli en god forretningsmulighet i årene som kommer. Så her er noen andre eksempler dere kan se på og ta med videre, og kanskje komme dere inn under noen av kriteriene. Vi har også skrevet en liten kronikk som ligger ute på Selmer sine hjemmesider på LinkedIn i dag, hvis dere har lyst til å lese litt mer om de nye settene.
Takk skal dere ha. Da suser vi bare videre i programmet over til verktøyleverandørene, og da er det Upright som er først ut.
Good to meet you all. My name is Toni Laitila from Upright Project. We quantify the impact of companies, and today I'm going to talk to you about value creation, impact measuring, and show you some data. So let's get to it. So let's start from the problem. So when we talk about the value creation of companies, our way of measuring the impact and value creation of companies, it's outdated. We are great at measuring the performance of companies, so how companies are doing in terms of EBITDA or revenue or growth rates or monthly recurring revenues, but we don't really understand their impact. So what do they actually do and how do they affect the world around us? So we need better metrics for quantifying the impact of companies. Well then, CO2, carbon emissions, those are super important to understand. That's maybe one of the most, if not the most important metric to understand of how the company affects the world around us. But why is it not enough? Let's take an example. We have two companies, company A and company B. We don't know nothing else about these companies at this point yet. Then we learn that both of these companies emit X tons of emissions. So they are identical, as good, as bad as one another. Then we learn that the core business of company A is sugar-sweetened soft drinks provided for and marketed to teenagers. And then we learn that, okay, for company B, their core business is type 2 diabetes treatment programs for teenagers. I know it's a childish example, but we can quickly learn that the other company is actually causing the problem that the other company is solving. So in terms of impact, even though their CO2 emissions are identical, they are vastly different in terms of their holistic impact to the world around us. Yeah, okay. Just to set the scene. What this means is that we need comparable and science-based net impact data of companies. And this is where Upright comes in. So about Upright, so we are a market-leading net impact data provider. We provide this data for both listed and unlisted companies. And our quantification model, it's a machine learning-based quantification model that uses scientific literature as the main data source. So we use over 250 million scientific articles to understand how different products and services and then companies affect the world around us. That's on net impact data. Then we also do provide UNSDG's EU taxonomy for all of the 6 objectives I think we were talking about. I don't speak Norwegian, but that seemed like taxonomy talk. And then also principal adverse impacts indicators. But yeah, today we've been working with we are working with over 200 customers, some of Norwegian ones like Norslab or Investinor or FSN or Statkraft Ventures or Summa Equity, but also some more global ones like EQT or Permiran Nordea. Good. Then to the shoes of VC or private equity investors, what are the kind of the pain points where we typically jump in? So maybe a couple of points to mention. One is that the obvious gaps or lack of data. So whether you're sending questionnaires or whatnot, typically you have gaps in the data. So that's why we provide modeled estimates, these different impact metrics that we mentioned. Then also these investors might not understand the whole value creation of impact of their portfolio companies, at least not in a comparable format. And then lastly, of course, there's the regulation. You want the PE indicators, EU taxonomy metrics, but you also want metrics like net impact to quantify whether they are sustainable investments or investments with environmental and social characteristics or whatnot. So that's there. But yeah, that's about the basics of Upright. Next up, let's see if I can do this. I want to show you how does this data look in practice. So we decided to publish our whole database, or actually half of it, or 1/3 of it publicly to everyone to see. So there's over 10,000 companies for any one of you to go and explore on uprightplatform.com. There are net impact, EU taxonomy, SDGs, and for some companies you can see also the principal adverse impacts indicators publicly there. So as you can see here, this is the Upright platform. This is the front page. You can see some pre-populated lists here if you want to look at some companies that might be interesting to you. You could also go to the go and browse all of the 10,000 companies. You can also search if you have a company name in mind. Let's see if I can find one unlisted company example. Let's take Virta. You probably potentially notice it's a Finnish electric vehicle charging station platform company, an unlisted company. And here you can see their profile on the platform. So you see net impact data, both positive and negative impacts. If you want to drill down deeper, you can see what does it mean in absolute terms, their positive contribution to societal infrastructure, for instance. Or you could do the same thing on greenhouse gas emissions to understand how does that seem. Or you can look at the SDGs or then the EU taxonomy, as mentioned before, or then the principal adverse impacts indicators, which probably, well, I guess if you're, deadlines are coming soon. But here, for instance, you can see the disclosures, if available. If not, it's a modeled estimate, so you'll have all of the mandatory indicators, select optional ones as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we at Upright, we quantify impact. We produce impact metrics for listed and unlisted companies. When it comes to private equity and venture capital portfolios, we always work with custom coverage so we can cover all of the companies within the portfolio. And my call to action, it's twofold. One, go to uprightplatform.com and enjoy it for free as much as you can. And action point, next step number 2, come talk with me or my colleague Jonas. He actually picks Norwegian because he's Norwegian, so that's good. And then also Tuukka, who speaks Finnish and English, similar to me. So yeah, it was really nice to talk to you. Cheers.
Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Børge Langedal, CRO and co-founder of Ignite Procurement, and with me I have Mathias Baksæter, product manager heading our efforts on carbon accounting. So thank you for the opportunity to provide a quick introduction to Ignite Procurement. We're a Norwegian-based software as a service company with a very clear mission: to provide companies with clarity to drive responsible decisions. So very quickly on our journey, we started out in 2017 based on our background from BCG. We saw that a data-driven and structured approach to procurement could yield significant savings. So we started out with developing a spend analytics app that we had great traction with. But with the ever-increasing importance of sustainability and also having a fantastic foundation with the data and analytics app that we have created, we launched our ESG modules in 2022. In particular, supplier management to help companies address, for instance, the Transparency Act here in Norway to address social risk of suppliers, and also our carbon accounting feature that Mathias will talk more about very soon. So quickly on where we are today, we have 60 employees, more than 160 customers, and more than 200 billion US dollars spend managed in our solution. And with that, I leave it over to you, Matthias, to tell a bit more about carbon accounting.
Thank you so much. So one of our modules, I have quite a lot of slides. I will move quickly, but just come and see us afterwards if you want more information. So this one is just to pique your interest. Scope 3 especially can be quite hard to understand and get into. We'll get back to this one. So Greenhouse Gas Protocol is the Bible for everything related to Scope 1, 2, and 3, calculation of greenhouse gases. For many of you, it is category 15 investments. That might be the largest one. And what we do is that we cover Scope 1, 2, and 3. We typically focus on the upstream Scope 3, because that's where many companies have their major emissions, but we also help companies like Ferd and Investinor with category 15. In the future, much of this will change. Hopefully, on a much more automated and standardized way, such as getting the actual emissions on your invoice from your suppliers directly, but in other ways as well. Today, we know that there is a lot of work collecting all of the different data points necessary, and for investors, collecting data from the portfolio companies is a burdensome task. This is an example of what we do, specifically focusing on the upstream Scope 3 emissions, which is our bread and butter, but the general approach of starting with a baseline, not necessarily the most accurate calculations, but at least starting to get a baseline, and then increasing accuracy and specificity over time is essential when it comes to carbon accounting. Specifically on the procurement data, which is a very good source of information when it comes to upstream Scope 3. We start with the spend-based approach, cover everything, and then we increase it over time. Our methodology is third-party validated by DNV, and for us it is essential to be transparent, so our full methodology, all of the emission factors that we use and so on, they're available online. Just a very quick example of how this can look in Ignite. This is related to procurement, and after I've gotten this initial baseline looking into where are my emissions and what kind of suppliers should I follow up on. But the example is also relevant for portfolio companies. Which of my portfolio companies should I prioritize getting information from? So looking at one of the major emission hotspots, then we can look into the actual spend categories. We see that this one is the major one, and then we can get information on the suppliers that we should probably get more specific information on. We have also recently launched our own emission report, going into details on our methodology and how we have used it on ourselves to calculate our emissions from 2022 and back to the beginning of Ignite. Today we also launched a guide to Scope 3, so that is available, and we try to be as transparent as possible. So just a quick slide to show that we have customers and they are happy with what we do. Ferd, for instance, is relevant here today. There is also quite a lot of information available online on our websites when it comes to webinars, guides, and so on. And then in the end here, this can be transformed to something much more clear. And in general, when it comes to carbon accounting, it is essential to just get started. Have a baseline rather than no calculation at all. Greenhouse Gas Protocol is the Bible. The documents are long, but they're quite easy to read. There are also additional documents for investments and so on, PCAF, for instance, and then use this to set ambitious yet achievable targets. That was it from us, so come and speak to us afterwards.
Yeah. Great.
Jeg skal da presentere CemaSys. Mitt navn er Nora Børresen. CemaSys, vi har vært i denne industrien siden 2007. Det vil si at vi har opparbeidet oss en god del kunnskap innenfor ESG-feltet. Vi har mye drevet med klima, men vi dekker hele ESG-området. I dag så har vi ca. 700-800 kunder og er i 70 land, så vi er gode innenfor de fleste bransjer, men også land har vi tilpassede utslippsfaktorer til. Dette har gitt oss en bred erfaring, og vi prøver hele tiden å tilnærme oss både porteføljeselskapene, men også eiere. Så vi mener at vi er et selskap som både kan hjelpe porteføljeselskapene deres, bli trygge i faget, men også portefølje eller dere som eiere, slik at vi sammen hele tiden jobber for å bli bedre. CemaSys har 5 moduler. Klimaregnskap er det mange har snakket om i dag, men vi har også EU-taksonomi og ESG metrics. Dette innebærer at systemene våre kan hjelpe dere med å oppfylle alle PI-indikatorene. Det kan hjelpe dere med å få gode energirapporter til SFDR. Og ikke minst har vi mange andre ting jeg kan snakke om og kommer inn til videre. Det jeg ønsker å få frem er at vi har en systemløsning, men vi har også en konsulenttjeneste. Det gjør at vi sitter ca. 50 konsulenter som både jobber med systemene, men også jobber hele tiden mot best practice rammeverk. Det gjør at vi ikke nøyer oss nødvendigvis med bare det GHG-protokollen sier, men vi hele tiden også jobber med for eksempel Science Based Target eller CDP, som vi er partnerorganisasjoner til. Sammen ønsker vi at selskapene blir bedre, tryggere, utvikler seg og også blir forberedt til CSRD, eller at dere blir tryggere med SFDR. Jeg skal fortelle litt om reisen. Vi var litt inne på det, jeg skal ikke bruke for lang tid på det, men vi ble grunnlagt i 2007, og da var det egentlig et marked som var mye preget av frivillighet. Denne reisen her mener vi egentlig er veldig viktig å få fram, for det gjør noe med hvor trygge CemaSys er i faget, og hvilke problemstillinger vi har vært med på å løse. Det startet med at man kanskje så litt på klimakreditter, man ønsket å ha klimaregnskap, og det var noen selskaper som gjorde det her. Mange av de kundene vi fikk om bord i 2007 har vi fortsatt i dag. Videre så ble det mer og mer, også egentlig investorfokus. Man så at man fikk penger hvis man fulgte de kjente rammeverkene, og det ble lettere å lese disse rapportene. Her har CemaSys vært med hele veien, og hjulpet selskapet på det. Vi har 50 GRI-sertifiserte konsulenter som er klare nå til å hjelpe selskaper med vesentlighetsanalyse, men da også dobbelt vesentlighetsanalyse. I dag så står vi ved et veiskille hvor vi har fått mer lovkrav. Vi har sett åpnetsloven, vi ser CSRD, dere ser SFDR, og mer blir at man trenger å være compliant. Her jobber vi hele tiden for å utvikle oss som system. Vi har en modul for EU-taksonomien, som dere så. Vi har denne måneden lansert en sånn gap-analyse-verktøy, undersøkelse for selskaper, for å se hvor ligger vi for å være klar til CSRD. Dette mener vi er veldig viktig for mange av selskapene deres. Kanskje blir man ikke dekket av CSRD, men denne her verktøyet, som man kan kjøpe uavhengig av modulene, gjør dere klar over hva er det som står igjen for å komme på et best practice-nivå. Til slutt så har vi også åpnetsloven, hvor vi hjelper selskaper med å kartlegge og egentlig få forstå risikoen i forhold til menneskerettigheter. Her har vi fått mange spennende funksjoner som jeg håper jeg kan fortelle dere om senere. Ønsker å fremheve videre litt hvordan man bruker systemet. Jeg ønsker å trekke fram noen funksjoner som jeg mener kan være av stor nytteverdi. Som eiere så har dere et 4. nivå øverst som dere kan sitte på. Under der så har dere selskaper som kan være så mange selskaper dere vil, og de har 3 nivåer. De kan lese seg med. Det som er viktig med disse strukturene er at man kan designe det selv etter hvordan man ønsker å jobbe. Det kan være forskjellige avdelinger eller hvilke typer rapporter man ønsker å trekke. Vi kan se for oss for eksempel at vi på toppen er et private equity-selskap, og så har man selskapene sine klimaregnskap eller ESG metrics under. Her kan vi da også trekke forskjellige rapporter og plukke ut forskjellige enheter under. Det kan for eksempel være at vi kan trekke en fondsrapport. Det kan være en sektorrapport hvis dere har mange selskaper innenfor IT-sektoren og noen innenfor restaurantbransjen, og så videre. Så systemet kan egentlig designes og mikses litt som dere ønsker, uten at det skal bringe masse ukjente kostnader eller masse dere blir overrasket for. Det neste jeg ønsker å få frem er egentlig dette her med at det er mange data points. Og her har vi et helt utslippsfaktorteam som hele tiden hjelper dere. ønsker det helt, helt umulig å lage et klimaregnskap, så kan vi stille med spennbaserte altså spennbaserte emission-faktorer. Men vi prøver alltid å pushe selskapene etter best practice og få de til å få eierskap. Så det vil si, har du fjernvarme et sted i Danmark, så gir vi deg fjernvarmefaktoren for det stedet i Danmark. Her kan det være store forskjeller. Og dette gjør at selskapene får eierskap, ikke minst at de kan ta inn EPD fra sine leverandører, som gjør at vi sammen hele tiden kan se hvordan er det de kan redusere utslippene, og ikke det bare fokusere på beløpene du bruker. Da blir det vanskelig. Vi hjelper blant annet private equity-selskaper med å sette seg science-based target. Vi har vært med og testet rammeverket til science-based target for private equity, og har vært med her og gitt tilbakemelding og hjelper i dag flere private equity-selskaper med å sette seg mål og følge opp porteføljeselskapene. Så da håper jeg dere også har lyst til å snakke med oss om etterpå. Jeg var litt inne på dette, men vi har mange forskjellige rapporter. Ting kan tilpasses etter rapporteringsintervall. Man kan mate systemet inn med en API-løsning. Har dere mange lokasjoner, dere har et firma, så har vi samarbeidspartnere som kan lese strømmen, så dette kommer direkte inn i systemet deres. Videre kan man også ha forskjellige rapporteringsmuligheter for at man da kan få en forståelse for hvem er det som har levert dataen for denne perioden. Det siste jeg ønsker å trekke fram er egentlig dette at dere også har mulighet til å legge inn deres eierandel hvis det er noe dere ønsker å trekke rapporter på. Det vil si at utslippstallene blir trukket basert på eierprosenten deres i de forskjellige porteføljeselskapene. Ikke minst, dere ser PE og VC ligger på toppen, men dere kan også ha deres eget klimaregnskap, og det håper vi jo også at dere har lyst til, at dere viser også selskapene hva som det innebærer å ha klimaregnskap, og kan dele av deres erfaringer med deres porteføljeselskaper. Det var egentlig det jeg ville si. Jeg håper at dere har lyst å ta kontakt med meg etterpå, så skal jeg gjerne fortelle mer.
Hi, my name is Adam. I'm the founder of a company called Variable. Let's see, like we need to... Yes? Stay here. I can't walk. Okay, that's going to be hard. First, thanks for Upright and Ignite to kind of warm up the floor for me a little bit. I think it's going to make my speech a bit easier. But we're targeting, we're expecting investors and portfolios here, and in our mind, our main targets are companies who are providing low carbon products. They're considering themselves as solutions, and of course companies who are ambitious in reducing emissions in their value chain. These are really the two personas that we have in mind. And as Tony alluded to this, in our opinion, of course, we are not carbon reductionists. We know that ESG is much wider, but at the end of the day, carbon is the most important variable. Our future depends on it, whether we like it or not. And quite honestly, okay, this is right. Just breaking the technology here. But in our opinion, carbon accounting is broken. And imagine the following: you are making your financial reports and you're making your financial accounting, and the way you do it is that you're looking at 5 years old data from some database, and you're like, oh, that's my industry, and you kind of like pick your emission numbers based on which industry you belong to. This is quite ridiculous. We have 70 to 90% of our emissions in the value chain, which means that other companies who are doing their own activities, that's where our emissions are. For most companies, sometimes it's 99%. And what we are doing is that we're looking at databases that are completely outdated and using averages over countries or many different facilities. So it's like, crap in, crap out. And the problem is a bit like two-sided, because if you have a solution who's much, much better than the alternative, how are they going to be able to be rewarded? How are they going to be, going to prove that they're better than the others if they don't use specific data? And on the other side, those who are buying these solutions, how are they going to show that they are, in fact, reducing their emissions in their value chain if they are pointing at a third-party database? So this is a two-sided problem that needs to be fixed. The solution to this is obviously specific data, product-specific data, and product-specific carbon footprint data is the solution across the entire life cycle of the products and services of what we are selling. And of course, the ability to share this information. and so this is kind of this is just to like explain a little bit why we're focused on this. And the cool thing about this, using product-specific data, is that it unlocks this competitive advantage. If I'm saying like my product is much better, the embodied carbon emissions in my product are much lower than our competitor, I can show it. I can be rewarded for it. I can get this benefit. I can realize this benefit. And on the other side, the procurement side, of course, people can also compare the various alternatives. And there's a couple of other things that are really important about having this type of control over our value chain and in our products. So first of all, there is new regulations coming. CSRD, for instance, talks about transition plans. It's not possible to create robust and legit transition plans without being able to actually understand what's in your value chain. That's the transition plan. That's what it's about, reducing emissions in the value chain. So if you're using an average data that's 5 years old, you're not going to be able to do that. So that's one. And the other thing is also there are other regulations, product-specific regulations that are coming. As an example, the EU Green Claims Directive. You cannot make sustainability claims without actually understanding the full life cycle of the products. It's called full life cycle claims. You have to use specific data. So this is what we do. This is basically how our system works. We built a modeling tool, so you're actually modeling your products sort of inside out, your bottom up. So you're creating a model of your value chain from your products and from your value chain, and then use a connectivity feature, a data exchange feature, to collect data from your suppliers, collect specific data from your suppliers. So of course, if they have these EPDs, as Ignite pointed at it, that makes things easy. But in other cases, it requires a little bit more work from them to actually collect this specific data. And then you can load this into a proper plan on how you're going to reduce your emissions. A reduction plan. This is where we help a lot of companies with setting science-based targets and actually putting into a financial context. At the end of the day, this is not just about reporting. This is about our strategy for the next 7-10 years, how we're going to run this business, and what are these actions are going to be that we are taking in order to get to these targets. And then the last part is super, super important on these products. How are we going to realize this benefit? Well, by showing that we're better. So we have this digital passport solution, so you can kind of show that that you are better than your competitors in a very simple way. Our customers, what we call our climate leaders, they're focusing on being much better than their competitors, as for instance Vestre, who's aiming to become the world's most sustainable furniture company, publicly traded large multinationals like Q-Free, cool companies from here in Norway, Airthings and Hike. The last one is building electric ferries, and they want to show that they are much better than the alternatives. And this is sort of like just important to contextualize it here to this talk. And who is this not for? I mean, if you just want a quick fix to tick a compliance checkbox, then we are not the right solution. That's very simple. But we are for you if you want to actually do the hard work and dig in and decarbonize your value chain and turn this into a competitive advantage. We have a pretty diverse founding team. My co-founder Oscar is here. He is an environmental economist and data scientist with background in sustainability and consulting. And our CTO Jimmy, has 20 years of experience building products from in Silicon Valley, and I'm a founder with several companies behind my back. So we are very much a product-focused company, but of course we want our customers to succeed. So we help a lot with setting strategies and helping communicate this to customers and other stakeholders. So you can grab us and have a chat.
Perfect. Hi. So my name is Ed. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Apiday, and I'm going to tell you about Apiday in 7 minutes. So Apiday, we're based in Paris. We're about 23 employees today. We're backed by VC funds, as you can see, and we specialize in helping VC, PE funds and their portfolio companies with all of their sustainability needs. So we know it's a super crowded market. A lot of people are focusing on specific needs, like carbon accounting, like ESG reporting, compliance, or improvements. And we differentiate ourselves by providing a holistic solution to sustainability, to all your sustainability needs. So sorry about the flashing sequence. So yeah, we answer all of your sustainability needs under the same umbrella. Why do we think this is important? Simply because you always face several of these problems. And at the moment, if you want to answer all of your needs, well, you need different tools to answer all of them. And we think this is highly inefficient, this is expensive, especially when you see that actually the data that you need to answer all of these needs is the same. So for us, it's critical to have one fully integrated platform on which you have all of your sustainability data that can be reused, that can be shared across all of your needs. So let me tell you what it's like to work with Apiday if you're a VC fund, a PE fund, or a portfolio company. So the first thing that we're going to look at is your needs. Okay, what do you want to do? And depending on your needs, we're going to look at what kind of data you're going to need to collect from your portfolio companies. And we're going to try to figure out how to craft a questionnaire that is exhaustive to answer all of your questions, but also kind of concise and dynamic so that it's not a burden to your portfolio companies. So we do that after onboarding with our ESG experts. Once this is done, you'll be able to send this questionnaire to your portfolio, and they will be able to answer. And we, of course, are going to help them answer these questionnaires as much as possible. The hardest part in answering ESG questionnaires is obviously data collection. And so here we help. We have over 200 integrations with HR database tools, procurement tools, accounting tools to gather data automatically. And if not, we have a collaborative platform that we've perfected. We're on our 10th iteration with our users, more than 500 users. And here, the teams can work together to gather all the data, assign tasks, see who's doing what, set deadlines, etc. We don't stop there. Once they put all the data, your portfolio company puts all the data on the Apiday platform, they can use that data to answer your request, but they can also use the data to answer all of the other requests that they have from other investors, from maybe tender processes they're doing, from certifications like B Corp, like EcoVadis, or even compliance with CSRD. We also have a lot of features. I'm not going to list them all here, but basically we also allow them to do carbon accounting under the same umbrella. We have an ESG template library where they can formalize any ESG policies that they haven't formalized yet. And we have a diagnostics tool which helps them figure out what they should comply with, what they have to comply with, and what they should comply with, depending on their industry and their location. So once they send you all that data, you're going to receive it, and you're going to be able to do what you want to do, which is report and comply. So first, if we look at reporting, the first thing you're going to do, of course, is LP reporting. And so here we're going to aggregate the data that you receive and pre-fill your LP reports as much as possible. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's not possible to answer every LP report. We have some clients that have over 200 LP requests, and so you can't answer all of them one by one. So what we do is we build you kind of a report that we can put on the PDF or that we can put on a website. If I have time at the end of my 7 minutes, I'll show you an example of that website, where you basically show them everything that you're tracking, and they can pick and choose the information here. We try to make it as insightful as possible, as visual as possible, and this is fully customizable. So aside from reporting, you might also need to comply. And so what we support at the moment, well, we support the trifecta, right? SFDR, EU-taksonomien, CSRD. Today, available on Apiday is SFDR. So we help you with SFDR. It's a process that's 80% automated. So you answer questions, we generate the disclosures, and it's 20% manual. You work with our SFDR experts to validate those disclosures that we've generated for you. We are adding EU taxonomy this summer, so it's in testing phase actually, so almost ready to go. And CSRD, we're piloting it with 3 large corporates at the moment, and we expect to release the full version of our product by the end of the year, which is well in time for CSRD. But we like to go beyond compliance and reporting. We think that actually you can't really do reporting. You can't remove the pain from reporting that we hear about all day, every day, which is, people tell us it's super frustrating, it's annoying, it takes time, we don't understand why we should do it. And so we try to go beyond, because we think that if we provide a purpose to the people doing this reporting process, and if we show them that actually what they're doing matters, and it's not just something that nobody's going to read and that's going to go straight to the archives, then they're going to do this reporting process. We're going to remove the frustration part of the reporting process. So how do we do this? Well, when you sign up on Apiday, you automatically have access to your sustainability sustainability journey with a double materiality map, so you can see what issues are material to you and which ones aren't, so you can really focus on what you need. This is automatic when you sign up. If you spend 30 minutes, you can have a maturity scoring on those material issues. And so just 30 minutes, you answer a questionnaire, we tell you how mature you are on these various topics, and it comes with an improvement plan that is perfectly tailored to where you are and helps you improve only on what's important to you. And we think that makes complete sense. You're adding value to the companies, everybody understands what they're doing, and it's not just a box-ticking exercise. Lastly, we also provide benchmarking, but so this maybe I'm going to attempt something here. I'm going to try and show it to you on the web page. So I have to press escape. Let's see if that's going to work. The mouse is here. Okay, this is going to kill my 7 minutes. Okay, so here is one of the dashboards that you can generate as an LP once you've gathered the data. So up. It's also a secure website. You have a web password. Let's see if it works. Great. Okay, that's never good. Perfect. So here is what it could look like. So again, you can put anything you want in here. So you can see how many companies have reported, their stages, their industries. You can have a little bit of data on your GP team, the carbon footprint, the SDG alignments. You can show also the materiality map of your portfolio. Yes, that's done. And you can then filter the data by founding round, by portfolio companies if you want. And so here, for instance, I can filter, just want to see Series B company, and like all the data will update. You can drill through, so if you want to see the Scope 3 emissions, who's like contributing, you can then see the 2 companies that are contributing. You see averages, etc. I'm not going to waste time because I'm out of time, but you can come and see me at the booth, or I left my email address there if you want to learn more, and happy to tell you more. Yeah. So PI indicators, all that stuff. Thank you very much for listening. That's why I have to do it.
Hello. My name's Genja Emek, and I'm responsible for the Nordic and UK markets at Novata. So I want to tell you about Novata, but in a bit of a different way. So I want to tell you a story, and I want to ask a question. So does anyone know where this city is? Shout out some city names. Where does it look like? Calcutta. Any others? It's Istanbul. Right, so if you've been to Istanbul, it's a very congested city. It's one of the, if not the most congested city in the world. I'm actually part Turkish, and I visited the city a lot. And I want to use this example to tell you about ESG in private markets. And actually, in one of my meetings where I was meeting customers in Turkey, I actually asked the taxi driver, what's going on in Istanbul? Why is it so congested? And he actually gave me a really smart answer, and I verified it later on. In Turkish, he told me, we're missing the forest for the trees. What does that mean? So over like 20 or 30 years, the population of Istanbul grew so quickly. And as they were building out the infrastructure, they didn't really think about it in a unified and holistic way. Right? So what did they do? They thought about it in isolation. So buildings, people, different types of people, roads. They were reactive. They were very ad hoc to migration and that kind of things. And they were very short-term centric. Right? So now that costs billions of dollars every year in terms of lost labor and all that kind of stuff. So what does this mean? Right? And is the same thing happening for ESG in private markets? And I think it is. And I'm going to tell you why that's the case. And can we do anything about it? And I'm very optimistic. I think we can do something about it. And I'm going to tell you about that as well. But first, let's look at the current state of ESG in private markets. We all know there's increasing investor pressure. I don't need to tell you that. Lots of regulation going on. It's all changing very quickly. Rapidly evolving standards. There's convergence going on. We want to create value, right? We don't just want the data there sitting around meaninglessly. And also, the data at the moment is quite poor in terms of the quality levels because of manual data collection processes and whatnot. So what's our mission? So how are we going to avoid a lot of the issues that we saw in Istanbul in growing that kind of holistic model? Our mission is to empower private markets to achieve a more sustainable and inclusive form of capitalism. And we want to make it easy for private markets to collect, analyze, and report their data to be able to drive change. Again, what needs to happen? Well, first of all, we need to align with the stakeholders. We need to figure out who these participants are. And in private markets, of course, we've got LPs, GPs, portcos, regulators. So what we did is we went and created a strategic consortium of investors, the likes of S&P Global, Hamilton Lane, Microsoft, but also not-for-profits like the Ford Foundation and Omidyar Network. We also created a GP advisory committee, some of the leading GPs in the world, it's all available on our website, to ask them, what is it that you need from a technology company to be successful with your ESG objectives? And also an ESG advisory council, standard setters, regulators, practitioners, to make sure we've got our finger on the pulse. We also were maniacally focused on your needs, the private market's needs. And that includes the portfolio company's experience, making that super seamless, driving value, getting insights for all the participants involved, and integrating with their existing ecosystems. To be able to do that, what we realize is we need a common infrastructure across private markets. And that means having a very powerful technology. So we've got a team of over 60 engineers and product folks based in the UK and Europe. We've got experts, ESG experts across multiple domains in ESG. And we work with a whole host of partners, including Celsia in the back over there, based in Norway. So we talk the talk, but can we walk the walk? I mean, our product was only released 12 months ago. And what have we achieved in that time? Well, we've onboarded over 4,000 companies around the world. We've got over 70 paying GP customers. We've got over 650 ESG metrics out of the box available in our platform. We've got over 240 benchmarks available that are sector, industry, geography specific. And finally, the lucky number 7, we've streamlined the data collection process to take no more than 7 days from logging in to completing a report. Thanks for listening, and I'm available here today to answer any questions, and if you want to see a demo or answer any other questions, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the companies presenting, and thank you to all of you for keeping your time. I'm actually really impressed. We're on schedule. I would guess there are some questions in the audience. So let's spend some minutes on them first. Or are there anything you're wondering?
Hello, my name is Lisa. I'm from Corporate Communications. We also help a lot of our customers with the ESG reporting, but we don't have the data solutions that you now presented, so that was very interesting to hear. What we often get asked by clients about is cost, and none of you mentioned that. So it's a difficult question to answer maybe, but if you can say a little bit about how much it costs for customers to use your system.
Interesting question. I think none of you mentioned it, as you said. So is that actually something you want to answer, or do we have to ask you when we meet you on the stands? Variable wants to say something.
I just wanted to say that I think you already sent someone to us once, and we helped them out for free. So in our opinion, the threshold has to be low, and software is nearly free to distribute. So from our point of view, we have a freemium model. So I think it was a company that you sent to us. They referred to you. And I think it's now the 2nd year in a row that we're helping their sustainability report with the accounting. Of course, we have a database behind our tool because there are data gaps, of course. What I'm pitching is a little bit of an ideal, obviously. But so there are freely available databases, and there's a lot of free data that you can get going, and for many purposes and many companies that's good enough. So we obviously have like a multi-tiered approach, and we support those kind of use cases when someone really just needs to get going, but up to like enterprise deals. We have like a in between, usually around like 4,000 kroner, 5,000 kroner a month, or like $500 a month, and that's like for a team, like 5 people have access to it, and they have a limited access to the premium data points that they want to use. So that, I would say that's kind of the benchmark. So free to get started, $500 a month, and then up to like we have like enterprise deals above like $50,000, but that's a different story. So that's depending on the custom needs of those companies when they really need to integrate it into their core business.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to answer the question, or do you want to elaborate on it? Yeah? Okay, good.
Yeah, from Ignite Procurement here, I would say we have a similar approach, and very much agree to the perspectives by Variable, trying to make it as accessible as possible. However, we do need some revenues on it, so our cost is anything from 5,000 NOK a month and up, depending on the complexity and what is required to deliver the precision and accuracy that is needed. And also happy to set up any test to prove that it actually solves the problem.
I just wanted to kind of use perhaps a crude analogy, but I feel like in some cases, particularly in this space, I don't know if you've heard the saying, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So I think, thinking about value and what it can bring is also very important, rather than just thinking about the costs. Yes, you might save 5,000 euros or something along that line, but what does it mean in the future? What are you sacrificing? What are you compromising? I think that needs to be considered. But also from a Novata perspective, we are backed by not-for-profits as well. So we do what we can to make sure we meet the commercial needs of customers.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else who wants to say something more about the costs, or do we have any other questions in the audience? There was one more, wasn't it?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
Some of you mentioned materiality assessments, and I was just wondering, what kind of methodology do you use for your materiality assessments?
So we have a double materiality assessment in the tool. So I'm going to go there so everybody can see. It's all fully transparent, so it's not a black box. You can look it up, but we are, for the impact part of the materiality, we look at EFRAG and all their work and the work of our ESG experts who are ex-ESG consultants. And for the financial materiality part, we use a lot of SASB, basically. But again, if you want to have all the details on exactly how we do it, and by the way, it's an evolving thing, so it's not a static matrix that we're not going to change. We integrate a certain amount of industries. We keep adding new industries to it. And obviously, the markets evolve as well, so it will evolve with that. But so that's the short answer. Yeah. That's it. And then maybe just on pricing, because I didn't answer, but obviously we have a holistic solution, so there's lots of bricks, so it depends very much on the bricks that you choose to use. But I would say for a basic kind of VC or PE product, but let's say VC, like for a small VC fund with like 10, 20 companies, you're looking at somewhere like 5 to 7K per year. And then growing from there. We try to be sensible, so like small companies for VC funds that invest in like pre-Series A companies, we're kind of changing our pricing from the feedback we've had, but I think we're going to go for like a free model for those young companies that, shouldn't be paying for an ESG software when you're 10, 20 people. But on the other hand, larger companies that have more needs, they will be paying a bit more than what we charge now, because it's a bit more complex and they use more of our features. So.
Then I would again like to say thank you to all the companies for being here, taking the time to let us getting to know you better. Some of you actually traveled quite far, so thanks for taking the trip.